Johanna Murphy, Director of Johanna Murphy Sons here in Cove. Thank you so much for welcoming us into your home and your office and your town today. Normally I only get to meet you in Dublin, so this is a wonderful. Explain to me where we are.
First of all, great to have you, Katie, at home, I have to say, and welcome to Cove. So behind me you can see the famous Spike Island, which is a really main tourist attraction here in Cork Harbour. Across there we have the Harbolan Park, which was Irish steel used to be there, in actual fact, and you could hear Irish steel from here. It was so loud, and then you'd have all the smoke coming out of the chimneys, etc. And my late father-in-law used to work over there, actually. And then you have Ireland's only naval base, which is just over there, and then across from there then we have the NMCI, which is the Nautical Maritime College in Ireland. And as you know, one of my eldest boys is trained to be a captain, and he's over there as we speak. Then we have Ringaskiddy, obviously the Port of Cork, which is, again, they're very active in the harbour with shipping and offshore renewable energy. We spoke about that before. Cork Harbour will be really a key, I suppose, a key place for the whole industry, simply because we have the key supply chain here, like the Maritime College, the Port of Cork. Yes. We have all the communities, you have the employment. There would be, the wind farms are going to be off the south coast, near Youghal, between Youghal and Waterford. So
Will you see them from here?
No, you won't. So they're around the corner to the left, heading towards Ballycotton, that direction. So obviously this is the nearest port of call, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of, it's really exciting. So if you look at Cove, I mean, I'm from the city and I moved to Cove, 17 years ago now, and my father was from Cove, so I've been coming here all my life, but really the city was my place. I've seen a huge transformation in Cove in the last 20 years. So Cove was always a place to live, but has become more attractive to live here now, to visit. Tourism here is massive. Before you might only take a half a day to visit the tourist attractions of Cove, now it takes 2 days. And now you can book into the Commodore Hotel or one of the other hotels in town, and get to take them all in, because Spike Island you have to book and obviously get the boat over there, right? Then you have the Titanic Trail, you have the Titanic Experience, the Heritage Centre, which I always think the Heritage Centre tells the story of Cove, when the famine days, when people had to leave Ireland and go to the States. And the train station, which is really, really old, that was where people used to go from. Get on the ships and get on the ships and go off to the States from here.
So this was their last view of Ireland.
Yeah, the last view of Ireland. So we have an immense amount of history, and even my own home is an old commander's house. And you know, a lot of the old period houses in here belonged to the Navy, and they always say the bigger the house, the higher the rank. So that was how it worked.
That explains the view. Absolutely.
Like, we would have a commanding view here now of Cork Harbour, where other houses have as well, in the whole town. And it's just, I suppose, from that perspective, when people come to visit Cove, and let's say friends of mine come to visit me, it really gives them the taste of Cork Harbour, and that's why I'm really passionate about it, because I think it's something that we must absolutely mind. We have a massive maritime culture here, a massive history, and even all the old buildings in Cove, and to be fair, the communities around the harbour. It's not even just Cove, you've got Crosshaven, Hadda, Whitegate, Ballycotton, you've got Rotas Point Lighthouse, which you can see over there. That guided all the ships, which was really nice, and actually I was there recently, and it's such a lovely place to be. So, and they're all being, you can see with the Irish Lighthouses Association that they're minding all those lighthouses and either reutilising them and making sure that they are, you know, restored, kept there, that we're not going to get rid of them, because we can't. It's part of our, it's just part of who we are. So, yeah, so that's kind of it. So I suppose, yeah, I'd have the bird's eye view. I can tell when my husband is leaving Crosshaven after sailing, and if he's telling me the truth that he's coming home, I'll see the rib coming across.
You get away with very little here, I'd imagine.
Very little, very little.
Do you know, genuinely, I love your passion for your place.
Yeah.
I think it is so important, and for me, it always brings me back. I can remember the first time, a couple of years ago, I was scheduled to interview you at the National Construction Summit, and I remember thinking, this is great, we never have estate agents at the National Construction Summit, and we absolutely should have. And instead of just talking about the property market locally, which we did, you talked about the place, not just as it might be attractive for people coming in to buy or even rent in the area, but also about the importance of infrastructure and industry, not just from an employment point of view, but actually securing our future, generational projects like the offshore wind. So can you explain to me how you got to be so involved in projects, like advocating for not just the area, but even shining a light on the potential that the Port of Cork holds for future residents here?
Okay, so I suppose I got involved in how it all started for me is that I got involved in Cove Sailing Club. And then I got to, you have your kids and you're busy with your kids, and then my kids they were involved in sailing and my husband was involved in sailing. So I got involved in the sailing. And I'm a bit of an organizer, and I like to have things sorted, and I like to run events. I like to see things excel. That's what I love, right? And that's what I did. I got a taste of that, and then I got involved with Cove and Harbour Chamber, and I became the first president, the woman president in the chamber, and that's been in existence for over 65 years. And I found it a real challenge, I have to say. I didn't know even what chamber stood for. Not to mind run a chamber, but I soon learnt. But what I really liked is that it gave me a voice, because I got to meet ministers, I got to meet politicians, government, I got to meet all the different bodies, stakeholders within the harbour, and I became very immersed in what Cove represents in actual fact. I've been selling houses here for the bones of 25 years, whereas this was a different element to it, because I could see the potential. It was massive potential here, but it needed someone to have, Cove has 450 volunteers. Amazing. And I was becoming one of those volunteers. And for me, it was everyone coming together, working together to ensure that we ensured that Cove was the best place to work, visit and live.
Yeah.
But we could only do that if we had a voice out there.
Yeah.
And that's what I really loved about the chamber, is that I got to host breakfast meetings, bring up key areas that I felt were important to, I suppose, to highlight Cove. And one of the key areas that I really thought was important, what did I see on the horizon, was offshore wind energy in Cork Harbour. And I felt that Cork Harbour itself was the key area and offered the key elements to ensure that that could happen. And as I said to you before, it was all to do, like the fact that we have the Port of Cork, who's been our maritime story in Cork for decades, right? Yeah. And then we obviously have the Maritime College, which I'm really proud of. They run such a great show over there. And then you obviously have the Ireland's only naval base here, and then the communities. And we mustn't forget the communities, because the communities are the employment. And I also felt too that with the wind farms, there was three elements. What was that going to bring to us? What was it going to bring to Ireland? Number one is energy security, and also it was going to bring massive employment. It was going to bring great opportunities to the communities. It was like when the farmer came to Cork Harbour. You saw the infrastructure improved, you saw more housing happen, jobs happen. So this is a bigger scale. Yeah. And it's fantastic.
Was there consensus locally? Like, did the majority of the community back this? Did they want this?
And that's where the chamber and other stakeholders came into their own. Information is key, we all know that. If you don't have the information, you can't make informed decisions. And that's what we did. We relayed the information. There was actually a really good story. It was Irish Water were coming to Cove. Now Cove is on a hill. My word, all these old roads, and I say they were dreading coming down here because of the infrastructure that was here. But the chamber and other stakeholders within, because I was involved at the time, although I wasn't president, relayed the information continuously to the public of Cove. And they said it was the easiest project they ever did, because the information was relayed.
Do you know, while I'm delighted that that's how that happened for Cove, I can't help but think about, I left Connemara this morning, only in the last month we've had news of a very large offshore wind farm not proceeding. We've had, so what you're describing in placemaking terms is called social capital. It's when the people locally are engaged enough and feel they have a voice in their community and start to look towards the future collectively, and it's so powerful. But actually that's really difficult to manage, and in rural areas really difficult to manage. And you know, it's something that while you can absolutely see the benefits of it here, because I travel and work all over the country, I can really see where it's missing, and those areas that are being starved of social capital, and they tend to be areas where there hasn't been much development, there isn't an influx of people, you don't have accessible rural planning for the next generation to be able to come in and live. And what you're describing there is the absolute importance of people coming into an area, because it's the people that make the place.
Absolutely, and you have to look at, I suppose, we have a population here now alone in Cove of 17,000, and the other communities will obviously have it as well. But regards to the different projects that would happen in different areas, it always depends on what does that project involve, right? Yeah. So something in Connemara could be very different to something down here. Yeah. So, you know, we don't have a wind farm here yet. We hope to have it quite soon. You know, we're all building towards that. It's still a bit away, but the appetite's there. It's beginning. Government are very much on board. You'll hear them talking about it. But we have other industries that we have to tap into as well, and we have other things we have to get right. So housing, as we all know, is one of our biggest dilemmas in the country, but it's a dilemma worldwide. It's not just here. We have a growing ageing population. We have become a place of refuge, which is amazing. We also have a younger generation that have the ability to purchase, which they hadn't before. So they have higher incomes, which is fantastic. So we have all those different elements that are adding to the whole idea of the fact that there's so many houses needed. Yeah. So that's where I would be very much that it's not an easy fix. It's going to take time, and it's very much on the government's agenda, which is fantastic. But we still have to fix our infrastructure. We still have to fix our, you know, infrastructure being water, electricity, you know, all that all has to be done, roads, etc. I look at Cove here. The only access point onto Cove is that bridge that you came over today. Yeah. I mean, when that bridge is shut off, we can't get off the island. Now, we're lucky that
There has been a plan in place, though, hasn't there?
And to be fair, but it's a plan that's been spoken about for a long time. Yeah. But I do firmly believe that it's coming down the tracks, which is great. Okay.
And what is that?
It'll be a secondary road into Cove. Don't know the full plans yet, because there's been loads of drawings out there, I'm sure, and I'm not privy to that. But a second access point into Cove is absolutely critical. We're really lucky that we have a fantastic train service here, which is due to be modified by 2030, so that every 10 minutes there's going to be a train running electrified, which is amazing.
Fantastic.
And then obviously you have Doyle Shipping, which is the dockyard you would have seen as you're coming in. They have a cross-river ferry that brings you to Glenbrook, which is over by Passage. Yeah. So we're lucky, you know, we're okay.
Do you know, driving into Cove today, I came from Ballycotton, again, another beautiful community here in Cork. But actually, it's been a few years since I've been in Cove, and as I drove in, I just thought, oh, I'd forgotten how special Cove is, and that's, you know, that iconic view as you're coming down and looking over the church, and it's just, you know, it's become globally iconic now. The row of beautiful chocolate box houses, and you know, so it's so special. But there's very few for sale signs anywhere. So actually, for somebody who wanted to move to the area, what's the property market like?
Very good. So we've had a very busy summer, really busy summer. So you'd see people...
Is this all second-hand homes, or is there any new development?
All second-hand homes. So unfortunately, we don't have a huge amount of new developments happening in Cove, simply because of the infrastructure, I would think. So second-hand homes, I love period houses. I live in one, I love them, I get them. I'd have a huge clientele base there. I have young kids. My eldest boy is 25, so I look at him. What is he going to buy? So I would be encouraging him to buy a second-hand home that he could maybe avail of the grants, the different variety of grants out there. Buy something that suits his budget. You know, and I know the average house, brand new, 3-bedroom semi to buy now, could be anything up to 400,000. That's a lot of money. If anyone loses their job, what happens? And some of these people haven't even had kids yet. And what happens? How are they going to afford to have their kids? So I would just be, now obviously people do have different jobs, different salaries, etc., and I get that. So I would just be very much that when I bought my first house, I had a mattress and a kettle, I had to go in, do it up, and I suited my budget. And that is the one mantra that I give to my children and to young people that ring me, because I would work with a lot of young people now who would just pick up the phone. I might know them through my kids or through sailing or whatever in Cove, and they know whether they buy a house off me or not makes no difference. They can still pick up the phone and get a bit of advice off me, and I will give it to them. So buying a house, we all know a mortgage is 35 years, it's a long time. You know, so I would just be, so then the other buyers, then we have a lot of international buyers coming into Cove. Now, Americans have been coming here for a while now, and to be fair, some of them might buy a small apartment initially, transition then to a nicer, bigger house because they love living in Cove and it's for them and they want to be here. But then you could have the person comes in here, I want the beautiful period house, I want a couple of acres with it, looking at the mouth of the harbour. Yeah, I'm going to source that for them.
Is that type of property readily available?
It is, not always on the market, so I do a lot of off-sale market selling as well, to be honest. So somebody could ring me up and say, look, Joanna, if you ever come across a property on a couple of acres looking over Cork Harbour, can you give me a buzz? Look, it might take 6 months, it might happen next week. You never know whom you're going to meet and who's going to call you. And I never know from day to day what house is going to come in.
Do you work as a buyer's agent in addition to your work as a seller's agent?
Not really, no. Indirectly, yes, but not formally, no.
That means yes, you do the work, but no, you don't charge for it.
Yeah, I don't, because I just feel, look, do you know what? It all works out. You know, I suppose I love my job. I'm a social animal. I'm involved in a lot of different organisations. I meet a lot of people. So my network is big. That's how I get houses. That's how I sell houses. And you know, something I could be at home at night, at 11 o'clock at night, triggering to my head, oh, that person's looking for that house. I must ring so and so tomorrow now and see when is that coming on the market.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of how I operate. My mum was just the same.
Proactive?
Very proactive.
Hungry?
Yes, very much.
But you have to be. The business of a state agency has changed in lots of ways, but in some ways it's exactly the same.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's cutthroat, right? I just think that it's busy. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of estate agents out there. You know, it's instant, it's fast. People haven't time to hang around. If you haven't got a house to sell for them, they're going to go to somebody else. So it's up to you to get, you must get, I have to get the stock in to be able to sell and earn a living.
How difficult is that when you're talking about a reasonably small area?
Well, I've worked really hard. I've worked for I'm 30 years in the real estate industry, 25 years on my own, and I've worked really hard to build my name. So I'm getting in the property, but that's, you know, I have to work every day to get that property in. I just can't take for granted that I'm getting in 3 houses today. Oh, sure, I'll be grand now for the next couple of months. I'll get loads coming in. It doesn't work that way. I always say you're as good as your last sale.
Yeah. But that's particularly true locally. And one of the things I love, and I've commented on it before, not just your use of social media, which I think is fabulous. All estate agents should be doing that, and auctioneers should be doing that right now. It's so accessible. You're building people, you're speaking to a potential target audience, so everybody should be doing this. But I love that you never take a sales only approach, so it's never just about the house. You always put some area context in it, so whether it's the view, whether it's whatever's within proximity or within walking distance. How important is that?
Well, before you can sell a house, you must sell the beauty of the place first. That's what you have to do.
Well, your job is half done, Johanna.
Yeah, and I know.
For anybody listening on Spotify, jump over to YouTube and you'll see that we're actually overlooking Cove Harbour, and it is just beautiful.
And it is, and like, I suppose my social media is so diverse. So yeah, I have the property, I have the lifestyle, I have my family, I have, you know, where I'm going, where's Joanna going today? Like, for example, I did a video in my car the other day, a tour of the back of the island, which a lot of people don't know exists.
Yeah.
And I was in my car, roof down, and off we went for a spin around the back of the island. And I'm going to tell you, the engagement I had in that video, really organic, no editing, I'm going to tell you, just we shortened it as much as I could in different clips.
Yeah.
The amount of locals that rang me who live out there were delighted that I was able to showcase what I think is a very special part of the island. And I did it down in Kinsale the other day, which is due to be released quite soon. And I could be out in the boat with my husband. Like, for example, now, yesterday, Jory said, come on, we'll go over to Hatta now, we'll have a bite to eat. And this is over to Rosie's and about 6 o'clock. And I could think of nothing worse. So I said, you know what, I'm going to entertain him now and I'm going to go on the boat. And off we went over in the Rib, over to Rosie's. And we had a bite to eat and a glass of wine. We came home and Jory said, where else could you do this?
Yeah. You're like, living the lifestyle.
We left at 6 o'clock and I was back home in my sitting room for 8 o'clock watching TV. And I said, isn't that great? I got me out of the house, out into the fresh air, and it was fantastic. Yeah. And you're over there literally in 15 minutes. And that's what I love about the harbour, is the accessibility. Like, you would have seen that with the sailing even. We sailed up to Black Rock this weekend for a race. So I left by boat and I came home by train.
Yeah.
How amazing is that?
Yeah.
And that's in Cork City. I'm like, the whole concept of Cove is actually living on an island. It's kind of different, isn't it? That you don't see that often. So I think that's what people love, that you're only 25 minutes from the city and you can live in Cove.
How accessible is it, say, for first-time buyers on, you know, who might have a budget that is the average house price?
So average house price being 350, that kind of price. Anything between 250 and 350.
What are you getting for 350 here?
350, you're getting a 3-bedroom semi built in 2003. That's what you're getting. You're like today now, I just put on a house, 3-bedroom semi with a 1-bedroom granny flat, 400 grand. Happy days.
Yeah.
That's a good price.
Yeah.
Then you could buy a 2-bedroom apartment for 230,000. You can, like, there's so many different types of houses that you can buy, not just in Cove. There's other towns and villages around the country that have this. But it's tapping in. I suppose what's nice here is that you're 25 minutes from the city. There is a train. There is a bus. You can go by, hopefully by water. One of these days will be more accessible.
Yeah.
Ferries going up to the city, I would hope, right? So you can buy a house for 190,000. Use the grants, do that up.
Yeah.
The other thing that I did a video there recently on working out the yield on rental income, which came across really, really well.
And would you have many investors coming in?
Investors, believe it or not, I know they're saying, and there's a lot of landlords exiting the market, but that's prehistoric rents that they've been charging. And
but you're seeing a new cohort coming in.
There's a new cohort coming in now that, to be fair, they're buying the 2-bedroom apartment that can give them a yield of 8.3%. Once an investor can get anything between 7% up net, they're happy.
Yeah. 8.3 be very good. That's much better than I would have expected.
But that's gross. So take your costs off that, you're down to probably 7.2, right?
Okay.
So that, and to be honest, that could be a young person whom I've had young people after that video that I did. How, you know, guys, if I'm a huge advocate of buying a rental property, investing it for my pension. My mum was the same. I'm just of that breed, right? I love it. And as a result, a few people then rang me, young people rang me, said, Johanna, what would you recommend? I said, right, your budget's going to be probably 250. You're going to get a rental income of 1,600 to 1,800 euros a month. And this is how you work it out. I also manage property, rental property for people. So when, like the other day now, I sold an investment property to a client. They bought it off me. I will now rent that property out for them and manage the property for them. They're not living here. So then I'm going to be them while they're not here, which is good. So as much as people say the investment market is coming down, it's not. It's beginning. As you said, there's a new cohort coming. There's a lot more government could do to encourage the investor into the market, which I do believe needs to happen and hopefully will happen.
Well, what would you like to see? We're just weeks off budget 2026. What would you like to see
I'd like to see more of a tax incentive. Absolutely. We have an RPZ, the rent pressure zone system there, that was brought in 2016. Totally off balance now. So like you have house A, who's renting out their house for 2,000 euros a month, and you have house B that's only get 870 euros a month. And I use that figure because I know. So how is that fair?
Yeah.
It's not. So therefore the guy who's getting 870 is going to exit the market. He's going to be able to, but for him, his tenant will have to leave. So where is that tenant going to go? Which is unfortunate. So, you know, whereas if he was able to charge the proper rent, well then the tenant might be able to stay there. I don't know. You know, there's so many different, it's not an easy fix, right? But what is happening is the people who are getting prehistoric rents are leaving.
Yeah.
But then you have a new lot of investors coming in who are buying. Right?
And they're obviously coming in knowing they're facing 6-year leases.
And they have no issue with that. And to be fair, I think it's a really good thing. I think it gives the security to the tenant and it gives the security to the landlord.
It's different when you've landlords coming into the market knowing that's the situation, as opposed to having a house let and then suddenly having this voiced on them. Suddenly they have to make decisions 6 years into the future that they may not be able to or be in a position to make. And I worry that we've rushed people out of the market who perhaps may have left anyway, but I do feel that we've rushed people out.
I think that there's no certainty around the new laws and regulations, which is the problem. And we all know that if you have uncertainty, it breeds contempt. And what has happened now, people are afraid, so they're exiting now just in case something happens. I'm going to leave now so that I'm sorted, right? Whereas I think if they had, if just a little bit more clarity around it would have really helped. What I don't agree with, and I'm quite strong on this, is that I don't see this talk, now to be fair, this may never happen, that you that whenever the new laws come in, that you can only sell your house with the tenant in it. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. That is your property that you've worked so hard to buy. Why should that be the case?
Yeah.
No, that's my personal opinion. I don't know what other people think.
I think
about
it's
that.
one that would be shared across the industry.
Yeah, and you know what? Landlords have been around since probably the 15th century, right? And they're needed. Big, small, we're all needed.
But I think the term landlord, I think it's probably time we retired that word.
Possibly.
And actually, because I don't think it even accurately describes
We're
the
an
arrangement
investor.
that's there in the moment. So yeah, I think it's a term that is problematic. I think it's particularly problematic in Ireland.
But tenant is too, you see. So it's like it's both ways. And I have to say, I manage probably the bones of 27 properties, and I have amazing tenants.
Yeah.
Amazing tenants. And I've had them for a long time, and I have amazing landlords.
Do you have an amazing process?
Yeah,
for choosing them and for
I'm
managing
quite
them?
tough to deal with, right? So I would be very good at choosing tenants, simply because I have been an investor for, like, I'm 54 now. I think I started investing when I was 22, 23. So I've made mistakes along the way, big time.
Yeah.
But I'm a bit older now, so I kind of got my head screwed on. But you know, it's like, look, I always say to people, you are embarking on the rental business. It's a business, and it must be treated accordingly.
Yeah.
And it's an investment. It's a 20-year investment, really.
Do you know, I'm glad that you brought us around to the business side of property, because you've talked about how Cove has changed over the last 20 years and that you've been in this industry almost 3 decades. But how has the business of a state agency changed? I mean, you and I have talked about technology before, but you do so much, and you do it almost single-handedly, which is unusual still, and probably less unusual now in the age of technology. Explain to me about what your day looks like and what kind of technology stack you're using.
Okay, so I have a full-time assistant in the office, Holly. She's fantastic. So administration in auctioneering has become very regulated, which is a good thing. But there's a lot of administration involved when you're putting a house up for sale. When you're putting a house up for sale, there's about 6 documents to go into that file, to be honest. And that's before you even take a photograph and do a video and get it out on social media. So we have it pretty streamlined. I do have a social media marketing department I outsource, right? So obviously I don't do all that myself, okay? I'm not that amazing. So that is outsourced.
You are amazing.
And I have the administration, Holly, and then I would be very hands-on, right? So I will never lose control of my office, ever. So I work 7 days a week, but how I work is very sporadic, in the sense, okay, I'm working all week, but then on a Sunday I love when my house is totally, nobody here, peace and quiet. I've had a bit of a siesta. I'll get up and I'll sit in that office for 4 hours, and I will make sure that my desk is clean for Monday. So I'm starting my week fresh. That's how I operate. And for the social media, like, we'll have a plan. I'll have it all organised a week in advance. But if I feel that there's something that needs to go out straight away, I'm in control to get that out.
Yeah.
And then it's like, as you rightly said, for me it's selling the whole location of the area before I can sell the house. And you know, I'm out a lot in different, as I said, to different events. You're meeting different types of people. I'm going sailing or whatever, right? It could be anywhere. I could be in Spain.
Yeah.
People are still going to say to me, God, isn't Cove looking amazing, Johanna? It's fantastic. And that could be anywhere. And isn't that great to hear? It means that I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, so that kind of part of it, I suppose it's busy, it's fast, and it's really fast. I mean, you could get a house on a Monday and it's gone by the following Monday. So you have to tease it, launch it, and sustain it. They're the 3 elements of the property when it's going up for sale.
I love your teaser videos.
Do you? Good.
We share them as frequently as we can, because but I think that's such a good idea, and so few agents do it, and it's a really good idea, because buyers at the moment are so frustrated when they feel that they've almost given up on portals, because there's definitely criticism for agents not marking property sale agreed when they're sale agreed, and I absolutely believe that they should be doing that, because I understand the importance of wait lists and otherwise, but it's so unfair for people to be so discouraged and having such a lack of understanding about the marketplace. They think they're going looking at a property when they can't get an appointment because maybe the bidding has already gone. Either it's sale agreed or the bidding has already gone up by 150,000, whatever it is. So the portals, I think, are feeling overwhelming for buyers at the moment. And what we're seeing is really working are short videos.
Yeah.
TikTok, YouTube Shorts. You know, tell me, where are you getting the most traction?
My audience, I have a lot of young people. It's the different platforms.
Yeah.
Like TikTok and Instagram are the young, not even young, but it's like I'm having to tell my generation, guys, get on my TikTok. You know, if you want to see a house coming up for sale next week, you must join my TikTok.
Yeah.
Well, Instagram, more Instagram, let's say, but TikTok then would be for my sons and all the, you know, that age group. Mind you, they love the Instagram too. LinkedIn then, LinkedIn's a funny one, right? LinkedIn is really your network. And you have to balance that right. And
Is that more for sellers?
It's a mixture, you know, because like I have a personal LinkedIn and I have a business LinkedIn. So if I'm selling a prestigious property, I will have it on both. Because I know that it's the network of my LinkedIn who is the foreign market, the CEOs, the big companies who are looking at that. Yeah. Investment would be the same. Investment properties as LinkedIn would be very good.
Yeah.
But it's where I'm going, who I'm meeting is really interesting for me on LinkedIn, because
I think that's how you and I connected.
Yeah, it's how you're building your network.
Yeah.
It's also that I'm not just interested in property, I'm interested in tourism, I'm interested in renewable energy, I'm interested in shipping, I'm interested in sailing. There's so many different investments, pensions. I'm heading to that age group, so I'll be interested in pensions. You know, and also it's like people could say to me, Johanna, I have $500,000 to invest. What would you think I should, how do you think I should invest that $500,000? So I kind of need to know what I'm talking about. And I'm only going to know what I'm talking about if I'm attending webinars or going to different events within Cork Chamber, let's say Cork Business Association, the different Cove Chamber, going up to Dublin to the construction industry, you know, Confederation, going to IPA. You know, you're not going to learn unless you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Really, like. And then the other thing too that I did last year, because I kept putting it off, because when you're working for yourself, time is just of the essence, right? I said, right, I was so lazy, I didn't do my to-go evaluation course, which, to be honest, is only necessary for a bank valuation. But I promise you, coming down the tracks, it's going to be needed for probate, it's going to be needed for anything to do with revenue. You're going to have to be a qualified, registered valuer who knows what they're talking about. Yeah. And I mean coming down to flooding, land registry maps, how much land is there, all that, right? And I did the course last year, 2 weeks in Dublin. It nearly killed me, but I did it and passed it. And now I'm delighted to say I'm on the panel with Bank of Ireland, which is fantastic.
Fantastic.
And I've been doing valuations for years, but I couldn't do the bank ones. And a lot of my friends had kind of said, Johanna, can you do it? And I said, I can't, I'm not on the panel. So that now has fantastic asset for me to have for my company.
Yeah.
So all the time I'm trying to do that, if you know what I mean, upskill myself.
I love your attitude towards continuous improvement.
Yeah.
It's always that. And in fact, actually, just as we were coming outside to record today, you were just mentioning to me how you've increased the use of AI across the business. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
So, yeah, I suppose when you're selling a property, not everyone has the imagination as to what it could be, right? Some people are very good with figures and getting the finance organised, and some people are fantastic with interior design. That's just the way it goes, right? Yeah. So, yeah, there was one particular property I did the other day. Thanks, there's actually a marketing student now I had with me for the summer. He's fantastic. And I said, you know, I really want to get this house out there. It's a beautiful house. So we did it for the deck of cards, actually, that you know, those beautiful houses. You called them the chocolate boxes, right? So we did it for that AI. We had 57 to 60,000 views on my Instagram post, because what I did is that we went into each room and showed what that room could be, and I explained it. I explained then about the grants available, etc. So we did that. I have another beautiful property coming up in Kinsale, which will remain anonymous for the moment. But
I'll wait till the teaser comes out. I have to go to TikTok, do I?
So the teaser will be out now at the end of this week, right? Actually, it'll be on the paper on Saturday, so the teaser will be out on Thursday, right? And I'm going to do an AI generated vision image of that, which will be amazing, right? I love playing around with that because I do think that's where it's going. I actually had a site in Tivoli in Cork there 2 years ago and we did it. Louise, who worked for me at the time, she actually organised the AI generated vision for that. It was fantastic. Yeah. And it sold as a result of it. So, you know, I'm prepared to try anything. That's the whole idea.
I love it.
And I feel that everything is evolving. Like, for example, I mentioned to you there now that I commissioned a video which was a tour of the Great Island. And Micheál Martin, Taoiseach Micheál Martin came down and launched it for me.
That was a huge coup. Congratulations.
I was actually, do you know what, I was so chuffed.
Yeah, you should be really proud of that. That's amazing.
Taoiseach coming down to launch a video for little old me down in Cove. But what I liked about him is that he's so diverse. He's up with the big companies there one minute, and then he's down with Johanna Murphy another minute. Yeah. And he came down to Cove, and he was so nice. He really was.
To be fair, Johanna Murphy was selling the island of
yeah,
Cove.
Exactly. And to be fair, that's what he said. And you know, the video wasn't about my company. It had nothing to do with my company. I just basically went through the different like transport, amenities, tourist attractions, houses. That's what I did. It was a 9-minute video, and why I did it is because I have the time to drive my clients around Cove, to show them Cove.
I love your honesty about that, because even as we were chatting about it in advance, I said to you that was such an amazing thing to do for your place, and you said no, it's because I don't have time.
I don't have time
to sell all of the benefits all the time.
And there's too many, and also with my international buyers, that's how I've sold a few houses here. Yeah. I said, guys, tap into my video, see if you really like Cove, and give me a buzz. And they do, and they ultimately buy off me then. Yeah. So when the teacher came down and he saw the video, and I said, look, I think you should speak, and he did, he spoke after the video. And I did say to him, because my mother always embedded this into me, Joanna, you can never sell the place unless you can sell the beauty of it first. Yeah. And she's so right. And he said that himself. And he also, what it also showcases how far Cove has come. We still have work to do, but let's celebrate what we have done. Yeah. And that's what he said. Yeah. He said, look how far you have come. You know,
I feel like selling the beauty of Cove is a little bit like trying to push water downhill. You know, it's going in that direction. So you have some natural advantages on your doorstep, but I think your passion, your energy for the place is just amazing. So normally I would close off these interviews by asking what's next for you, but to be honest, I so much is coming next for you that almost feels like too big and too exciting a question. I want to watch it happen on your TikTok. But what I will ask you is, I have just a few more hours in Cove. How should I spend them?
Well, I was going to take you for a quick spin down to Cove, and I was just going to show you Cove, but I do think you should go down to Cove and have a look around. I'll show you 1 or 2 restaurants, and that's actually another, just to go on that you'll see when you're walking around town, the amount of businesses that have opened. I've rented 6 new businesses in Cove in the last 8 months. That's amazing.
Amazing. What kind of businesses are moving in?
Restaurants, health shop. We have our first health shop, which is amazing. Laundrette. Fitness centre. We have a new, it remains anonymous, I can't say what it is. Again, that'll be a nice surprise, right? That's going out.
I'll be glued to your TikTok.
Yeah, no. And I've sold some really prestigious properties in Cove over the last couple of weeks, which again, I can't say till they're all closed, but they are going to regenerate Cove. And you're asking kind of what's next on the list for me. I just recently joined Cove Tourism, which I'm going to help them out now too, because I didn't realise kind of, as I said to you, there's so much going on the tourism front. Yeah. But that's important for my job too. Yeah. So that I can sell that to people coming into Cove. So I'm part of that too. So a lot going on, and I love it, and it's very interesting, but it's hard work, Carol. You know, it is hard work. But I think that if you love your job, you're prepared to do it like you love your job.
Well, do you know, I think that's the perfect note to finish on, and I will take you up on that offer for a spin around Cove, because I'm dying to see more. But thank you so much for inviting the iProperty Radio team into your home and your office today. And what people can't see while the beautiful view is behind you and I, actually all of the beautiful creatures that are roaming around the garden as well. So thank you so much for allowing us into your home today.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you.